Hi, seventh grade. This is Mr. Wiz reading the Unit 4 Quiz 1 Analysis and Inference quiz. You need to put your name here. Remember, at any point, you can pause the quiz to think and work, to reread, and then press play when you're ready to resume. Directions. Read the passage, then answer the questions. The oysters of Chesapeake Bay. In 1680, English settlers in Maryland complained that they had so little food that they had to resort to eating oysters. Soon they stopped complaining and started to regard oysters as a delicacy. The Chesapeake Bay supported a huge oyster fishery, and nobody saw any reason to limit the number of oysters caught. The yearly catch was greatest in 1885, but then it began to drop. Today, fishermen who make a living on oysters mourn that the industry is almost dead. Few oysters are left, and those that remain are sick. The problem began with overfishing. Oysters were caught in such great numbers that the remaining oysters couldn't reproduce fast enough to keep up with the demand. Oysters live in clusters on reefs. When an oyster bed is stripped of all oysters, the other creatures that live on the reef die too. Then, even if oysters can be raised somewhere else, they can never be returned to that bed. The complex balance among numerous life forms has been destroyed forever. Another problem is pollution. Scientists have measured 70,000 poisons in the Chesapeake. Some of them kill oysters directly, others just weaken them. The weakened survivors are now under attack by a disease known as MSX.2. Scientists do not know where the disease has come from, but they know that unless they find oysters able to resist it, the Chesapeake will soon be empty of oysters. Based on the information in paragraph 1, we can infer that Native Americans didn't eat oysters. Before 1680, oysters were not a regular part of the English diet. Chesapeake Bay is the only place in America where oysters live. Question 2. Explain the main reason oysters began to decline in Chesapeake Bay. Support your answer with evidence from the text. The main reason oysters began to decline in Chesapeake Bay is because there was a problem with fill in the blank. This is explained in paragraph blank when the author states that blank. Again, using these sentence starters, write your answer here. Question 3. Based upon the graph, we can infer that something caused the oyster population to increase between 1963 and 1973. Less oysters were harvested in the 1980s due to poor weather conditions. The oyster harvest will increase in 2013. When an oyster bed is stripped of all of its oysters, how are other creatures living on that reef affected? They move to another reef, they die, they multiply rapidly. Number 5. Explain 2 ways in which humans have caused the oyster population of Chesapeake Bay to decline or go down. Then explain some possible ways humans can solve the problem. Support your ideas with specific evidence from the text. Here's the sentence starters. One way that humans have caused the oyster population to go down is by blank. This is mentioned in paragraph blank, where the author says blank. Another way humans affect the oyster population is through blank. This is mentioned in paragraph blank. One way humans can solve the problem is blank. Again, typing your answers here. Once you are finished with number 5, go back through 1 through 5 to make sure that you have answered all the questions to your best ability. After you've proofread your answers, you may turn it in.